So in my last reflection, I revealed that the topic of my action research was going to relate to formative assessments in my classroom to try to ultimately help with classroom management and student participation. So I did quite a bit of research as far as what in the literature to see what had already been done, as well as just some general books on formative assessments and the things that I may need to know going into this project. So one of the things I've found in the research was that using formative assessments really helps to improve motivation. So ultimately that would of course improve student participation in classroom management. And then also it has been shown to result in higher achievement for students when you use those assessments in class. However, researchers and experts in this field do warn that it takes patience on the teacher's part to not only learn how to implement the formative assessments, but it takes patience for the students to kind of figure out exactly what's going in the classroom, because there's a major shift in the thinking. It's a little more student-centered classroom and student-directed than the teacher once it gets to the ideal phase of implementing formative assessments. So one thing that I did find out was absolutely essential to formative assessments are these three things. Questioning, which is asking really good questions to the students during class discussion and also helping them learn to ask really effective questions back to the teacher. And then feedback revision, being able to give students constructive feedback, not just a check or an X, but tell them exactly what they need to work on and then allow them to revise, especially not in a summative assessment situation, but just in a assignment or practice exercise. But then the main thing that stood out to me that I feel like I have not gotten into in my own instruction are self-assessments, and many of the researchers felt that this was absolutely essential to making the formative assessment process work in your class. So you might think, oh, okay, self-assessments, that's just the students giving a thumbs up or a thumbs down, or raising their hand if they understand and keeping it down if they don't. But it's much more than that, as I've learned. There are a lot of different techniques that you can use to accomplish the goals of formative assessment in the way of self-assessment. So teachers and students mutually benefit from participating in self-assessment. Students see where they're at, and teachers also can find gaps or areas of their instruction that they need to go back and review. So, as far as exactly what I'm doing for my action research, I will be using self-assessments in my classroom to see how it affects my students' learning and their participation.